right down the front under the teacher's eye. There would be these naughty little boys who'd just be sitting there, bored to tears, and often didn't read. I think, one day I'm going to get you. My name is Jennifer Rowe, but you might know me better as Emily Rodda. The story wants to tell itself. That's exactly how it feels. That sounds weird, and I try not to say that because it sounds odd. It sounds as though you're putting it on when you say something like that, but actually that's how it is. Although I loved writing as a child, I really had stopped thinking I could ever be an author. I thought it was a foolish ambition, like my brother wanting to be an astronaut, really. I was telling stories to my 7-year-old daughter, and I thought one of them was pretty good. I was working with children's books at the time, and I thought, I'll just see how I go writing this down, so I did. And then I sent it to my own publishing company under another name, and it was accepted. It won Children's Book of the Year, that book, and so that was very exciting, and it made Emily Rodda, which was my grandmother's name and her mother's name, a good name to keep with. As for how many books I've written, it's sort of a bit embarrassing. People used to ask me and I wouldn't know. There's 103 titles. It never feels like it's enough. The ideas literally do come from everywhere around you every day. You see a hornet climbing up a window with a spider, that it's going to feed to its young, and naturally the thoughts of monsters occur to you. Well, actually, I suppose to a lot of people it wouldn't occur to them, but it does occur to me. My son Alex, when he was really little, said, "Mum, you're interested in such small things." This place, which has a creek and tree ferns and hanging swamp and pine trees, if you're walking around it, it wouldn't be hard to imagine you were living in one of the various worlds I've created. Remember looking at these boys who were full of intelligence, loved computer games, all that kind of thing. I think I'm going to show you that you can get more fun out of a book because it's going to be your imagination. I really did think about Deltora Quest for about 2 years before I wrote it. Knew where the rivers were, knew what the main cities were. I thought, I can't write a huge fat tome. What I can do is write a series of short books that in a bite I can tell the story. I can't imagine a more exciting writing experience. It was wonderful. After perhaps the second or third book were published, I started to get these badly written, badly spelled letters on grubby bits of paper. I thought, I've done it. These are the kids I was really hoping for. I had no idea it would sell like it did, and I had no idea it would sell overseas. I didn't even think that it would cross cultural boundaries like that. It was very popular in Japan, and so then I was contacted by a Japanese anime company who wanted to make an anime series.
We will return the gems to each of the 7 medallions on this belt.
The only argument we really had was about Bada's beard, which was supposed to be really big and wild. It's very hard in animation when someone has a beard that covers their whole face, So we compromised on a kind of half-tidy beard. The beautiful thing about a fantasy world is that if things aren't going well for you, you've got this other place you can go to. A lady wrote to me and she said that her mother, who had been a great fantasy lover, was now old and was dying. And she said, I had this idea and I started taking in Deltora Quest. While we were there, while we were in Deltora, she said there was no pain, there was no fear. It was wonderful. Things like that.
made me feel pretty good.
Of course kids grow out of you in a way, but you see you're still there in their minds. I've got used to those signing lines where there are all the 8-year-olds and then there's some big tall people with battered copies of Deltora Quest or something. I think one of the great things about books is you might read a book at one age and then move on a couple of years later, you might read it again. And in a way, the book is different because you're different. It's a sort of alchemy that occurs between storyteller and reader, I think, and I find that very fascinating.